What is going on, guys? Today I bring you round 6 of Festival dos Galitos. And this round was played a couple hours, I would say like 2 hours after my last game, which was very heartbreaking. I was so tilted, I was so pissed off. And yeah, it was really hard to play this one. I got paired up against Nuno Roldão, which is actually a kid from my club. And yeah, let's see how the game went. I had the white pieces. I decided to start with d4. My opponent went g6. I went c4. He went bishop g7, and I went g3. Uh, don't even ask me about the opening. I was just playing random stuff. I was just super tilted, and yeah, I didn't really care much about the opening or anything. I just wanted to get this game over with as quickly as possible. So okay, my opponent goes d6, bishop g2, knight bd7. So he's kind of playing a weird modern defense or something like that. But yeah, I mean, just take out your pieces, just develop, and you should have a good position against these type of setups, right? So I go knight c3, a6 by my opponent, and I go a4, stopping b5, although he wasn't even threatening it because the rook is on a8, but okay, a4. C5 here, I go e3. Yeah, I don't know about e3. E3 is kind of weird. But okay, it's always a big a decision if you want to play d5 or not, because you give some squares, you shut down your bishop, so there's pros and cons. So I guess e3 is a fine move, just solidifying the d4 pawn. But of course, my bishop is also outside. It's inside the pawn chain, so there's pros and cons. As I said, maybe knight f3 would have been better. But okay, e3 is not bad at all. Knight g on f6, knight g on e2, and castle's castle. So okay, we got the opening phase done, and yeah, I would say that's probably balanced. Uh, Looks like a fine position for both. He goes rook b8 here, and I go rook b1. Rook b1 is kind of weird. I guess I just wanted to play b4 myself, but yeah, I'm not gonna, try to understand because my mind was really not where it should be during a chess match at this point. My opponent played a5 to stop b4, but it's a little bit of a bad move in my opinion, because I mean it also stops the chance of him getting b5, and he put the rook on b8, so like he's wasting a bit too much time in my opinion. Now he doesn't really have a clear plan. uh but okay, I take on c5, which then again, I don't know if it was the best decision. Maybe here I could have played e4. Maybe e4 would have been an interesting move, trying to develop this bishop and kind of getting a sort of Maroxy type of position, Maroxy bind structure. So yeah, and yeah, this would have been better than taking on c5 for sure. Taking on c5 allows him to develop his knight to a good square on c5 and also opens this bishop. So yeah, taking on c5 was bad. My follow-up was queen c2, which also, I mean, doesn't justify taking on c5 at all. Bishop f5 is kind of bad for my opponent because it just walks right into e4 with tempo, and I wanted to play e4 to develop this bishop. So yeah, bishop e5, very bad move in my opinion. Yeah, he goes back to d7. I develop my bishop to e3, and he plays b6. Okay, fine. I play h3 to stop any knight g4s attacking this bishop. Also makes perfect sense. And now my opponent plays bishop c6. Okay, I have the e4 pawn protected, but yeah, here I just develop the rook to d1, the f rook to d1, kind of eyeing this queen. And here my opponent plays queen d7, also connecting his rooks. And here, you know, I made a kind of rash decision. And yeah, I thought for a while here, and I played e5 with the idea of, you know, after bishop takes on g2, which is probably black's best move, I had the idea of capturing on f6, and now I am attacking both his bishops. So the bishop on g7 is hanging, the bishop on g2 is hanging as well, and I thought, okay, I'm just winning a piece here. In my calculation, I thought that he had to move this knight, and there's no real good squares to move the knight to. I thought something like knight e8 here would be very good for me. Is that actually I missed a very important detail in this variation, which after my opponent took on g2, I immediately took on f6, and I realized that I'm completely losing here because I missed in calculation that my opponent can just simply play queen takes on h3, and here if I turn on the computer it says -9. Literally, I'm getting mated and I'm not even winning a piece here. I mean, it's just completely over. My opponent didn't spot this. Actually, my opponent fell exactly to... He fell into the trap of losing a piece. So yeah, he took on g2, I took on f6, and here he I think he took back on f6. Let me see what happened in the game. So yeah, he took on f6 and I took on g2, and yeah, I'm just up a piece for a pawn. So, but yeah, here if my opponent had spotted queen takes on h3, he would surely win this game. I mean, I'm forced to move the f4 pawn to not get checkmated, but still, I mean, yeah, just it takes back. He's up 2 pawns. My position is completely busted. Like, I have no coordination. I'm just gonna lose probably quickly. Honestly, it's just over. It's really bad. And I mean, but yeah, I was very lucky that my opponent didn't see this. Yeah, I mean, taking on g2 here, I would have to take on g2 back to not lose immediately, but after just queen check, I have to move my king, and he can now safely take the pawn, and he's just up a pawn. He's just up a clean pawn, and yeah, my light squares are very weak around my king, and yeah, his knight is really good on c5. In order for me to kick it, I would have to probably take, which would be bad, because not only my light squares would be weak, but also my dark squares would be weak. And still, with this bishop on the board, like, you don't really want to give out this bishop for the knight. At least give the bishop for the other bishop. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I guess my opponent didn't realize that he was losing a piece. So yeah, now I'm completely winning. Now I'm the one that's +7. Yeah, I'm just up a clean piece here, and my king is perfectly safe. Yeah, my opponent took on c3. I took back with the knight, and I guess that by this point my opponent realized that he was down a piece, and he was kind of like, what just happened? But okay, queen c6 check. I played king h2. He played rook fc8. I played knight e5, and here when you're up a piece, you just want to, you know, make a couple of threats and trade pieces, and you should be good to go. It should be simple. Here, of course, I'm threatening knight takes on e7 check, picking up the queen, forking everyone. He plays rook b7, protecting that against that threat. I take on c5, and here I play b3. Just very simple. I didn't want to give back the piece or anything like that with some stupid tactic from him or something like that. I wanted to just keep it simple, because I already blundered big time in this game. I don't want to blunder twice and give him a chance to get back into the game. So yeah, just keep it simple. b3. He played e6 here, kicking my knight. Knight f6 check. King f8, and here, he just walks into knight e4, and now he has to move his queen because I'm attacking his queen, but I'm also forking on d6, and everything is gonna fall because once he moves his queen, let's say to c7 here, I just take on d6, and now I'm forking both rooks, so it would be instantly game over. But here my opponent played f5, and I just took his queen and he resigned. So yeah, I mean, it just wasn't a pretty game from both of us. I think we both made some very questionable moves and decisions, but yeah, that was a pretty quick game. We were pretty much blitzing almost all the moves, and yeah, I managed to get this win, and that's pretty much it. So going into the last round, I was actually in a good position to even snatch like a top 3 finish. So yeah, next game will be the last game of this tournament, and it will be a very exciting one and very, very important one for me. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this shorter video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.